Representative, you were part of that meeting with Joe Manchin's staff. What can you tell us about that?
Well, thank you, Lawrence. I mean, it was a very instructive meeting. It was a 45-minute meeting by Washington standards. That's a long time. And we really had an opportunity to really talk to the staff about what's at stake here in our nation's democracy. And I will tell you that I think it was very enlightening for them to understand voting rights standards in West Virginia are far different from the voting rights standards in Texas. So, for instance, in West Virginia, you could vote by mail during a pandemic. You couldn't do that in Texas. In West Virginia, you could vote by mail if you worked a certain shift and you weren't able to vote during the day. You couldn't do that in Texas. In West Virginia, you could vote if you're incarcerated by mail. You can't do that in Texas. And so as we went line by line and talked about several subject matters of S1, it was very clear that Texas and the rest of the country is not like West Virginia, and that we do need a national standard that actually empowers people to vote. And that's what S1 is trying to accomplish. And I think that it was very instructive for the staff to understand in other parts of the country, there is a lot of voter suppression taking place. And clearly that's killing democracy. And we need a fix for that.
What is going to happen next in the Texas legislature?
Well, at any moment, the governor can call a special session. So, we broke quorum. We walked out. That is the equivalent to Texas Democrats crawling on our knees, begging our federal brothers and sisters to please bring us a federal standard, a federal relief. And as a matter of fact, I think that spark sort of reinvigorated this debate in our country about voting rights. We've had a productive day on the Hill. You can probably hear it in my voice. I'm a little bit raspy. We've been talking all day about we are holding the line, but we cannot hold it forever. We need to find a federal solution. And we are working very hard. And I think our federal counterparts, from Leader Schumer, Speaker Pelosi, to the Biden administration, I think they all feel the urgency of the matter. And now is the time to give us S1 and HR 4 and bring relief to our nation.
Beto O'Rourke, the point just made about West Virginia's voting laws versus Texas laws was actually made on this program last night for a different reason. It was made by an expert in, remember, the news media in West Virginia, saying this is one of the reasons why Joe Manchin doesn't have to respond to Senate Bill 1, the voting rights bills, the same way as other Democrats, is that voters in West Virginia aren't worried about this for West Virginia voting. What's your response to that?
It's interesting. I've seen some of the polling out of West Virginia, and every provision of H.R. 1, Senate Bill 1, the For the People Act, is wildly popular in that state across party and geographic lines. So, reducing the power of corporate money in politics, having independent redistricting commissions so members of Congress no longer choose their voters, making Election Day a national holiday, and removing these obstacles that are in place for those in states like Texas who actually want to vote. The people of West Virginia want that. And I'm confident that Senator Manchin, as he seeks bipartisanship and looks for a solution forward, will ultimately come to the conclusion that, as Trey Martinez-Fisher just said, federal action is the only way that we can save the day in Texas, in Georgia, in Florida, and for this country. And so I think his hearing the representative's message today, or at least his senior staff, is such a critically important moment. And I hope as he and other senators vote on this the week, June 21st, that's the first procedural vote on the For the People Act, they keep in mind just how dire the situation is here in Texas.